session. My name is AarshPreet, and today we're going to talk about power sharing, the very first chapter in class 10th. And before we start with this chapter, I just want to ask you, do we have real life examples of power sharing? What is your opinion? What is your take on power sharing? Because whatever the chapter has to offer, we're going to study it anyway. What is your take in general life? Can you give me any example where we can probably see power being shared? Might be implicitly, might be explicitly, but yes, we are under the influence. Let me give you two examples and let me justify the statement before we dig into the contents of the chapter. So if you look at the way, the elite societies or maybe the powerful people who are good to go, when I talk about their wealth, their status, they try to somewhere, influence the educational setup also, by which I mean to say they have a good opportunity. Their children have a very good and fair chances of getting good education. But if we compare to the people who, the kids of very poor families who don't get a chance to go to schools, don't you think implicitly, not that explicitly that they are willing to do it, but somewhere down the line, there is some power that has not been shared. The downtrodden are not given the opportunity to get education as far as or at the level the elite people are. So let's take another example. Here you go. So if you look at everyday scenario and you open the newspapers, you read it, all the developed countries coming up with their missiles, rockets, satellites, and don't you think India is also trying to compete with them? So all the influential people, all the elites of the society use their power every day to get or to trick us or to get us buy into whatever ideologies they want to sell off, or whatever ideologies that justifies their power. It's out there, and they use this face of power then to trick us that we do not even realize that power is being exerted on us. Talk about US, talk about developed countries. They're competing in the world. They're making it, a tough competition for countries like India to actually accelerate the power or maybe grow in power. So that is how, talk about environmental consequences, anything. So on that note, let's start with what the chapter has to offer us. Okay. So it's a power sharing where we have two case studies. The very first case study is of a very small country. It's Belgium. And the second one is a case study of Sri Lanka. And then we'll study why. Why do you think power sharing is very, very important? So let's see what the contents are. The very first thing that we're going to study is, like I said, Belgium and Sri Lanka case. Then we're going to talk about how did the government realize and how did they take steps, what steps they took to calm down the situation, to take charge of the situation and bring everything in a peace, settle down everything very peacefully. The second one is going to be the majoritarianism in Sri Lanka. So did Sri Lanka, or was the country Sri Lanka in a position to handle the dispute or the the clash or the rift between the communities that were living there, or Sri Lanka did not have a very good solution to offer? Then we're going to talk about the accommodation in Belgium, like we talked about Sri Lanka. Anyway, we're going to jump to Belgium scenario. Then forms of power sharing. What are the different forms of power sharing? So do you think India offers the concept of power sharing? Yes, it does. Talk about 22 scheduled language. We are at a liberty to choose any language we wish to speak. We are at a liberty to file petition in any of our mother tongue in judiciary. So that's the liberty, that's the glory. We guys here in India stand for ourselves and we share the power equally. But trust me, there are implicit and explicit way which offer how power is being shared. Or is it really shared, or is it just on the face of it? Okay, so let's start with this chapter and the component first part, that's Belgium. So Belgium, guys, can you see this world map right here? So here is India, and right here in Europe is a very small country, that's Belgium. So here I've drawn the map, picked up the map, it's Belgium. Then it's surrounded by Netherlands. Right here, Germany. Yes, that Germany. Hitler had a very big role to play. Then Luxembourg and also France. Of course, you guys know about France. You've probably studied it in class 9th. Napoleon, Louis XVI. So it's very easy for you. You can correlate it with class 9. So these are the countries that border Belgium. So it has population just over a billion, or just over 1 crore, I would say. So let's see what the scenario is like here. Here. So this country has divided into different sections. For example, this upper part, it's again the map of Belgium. The upper part you can see right here is the Flemish region. I've given it a light green color. So this is the Flemish region. Right in the middle you have the capital, that is Brussels, and below it the second half of the region is the Vilonia region. Now in Velonia, most of the people who live is they speak French. In Flemish region, there are almost 59% of the people who live and they speak Dutch. Anyway, it's bordering Netherlands, so they're supposed to be Dutch speaking. Here you can see a major part of Wallonia bordering France. So can you now keep it in mind that, okay, you saw the picture, you saw how Belgium looks like, and Wallonia is Wallon region is the region that shares its maximum border with France. So of course, most of the people here, approximately 40% of the people living here, it's like 40% of the population, they in this region they put up and they speak French language, whereas Flemish region they speak, now F is Flemish. Just remember a trick for you. How do you write 50? It's F. So just remember Flemish is 50, F 50, not 40, guys. Again I'm telling you it's 50. So again I'm going to show you one thing right here. So the ethnic means the people belonging to that particular region. The ethnic composition of this very small country is very complex, as we just saw. The upper half, is it the Flemish or is it the Wallonia? Right here, let's get it. Yes, it's the Flemish region. The below, the second half is going to be the Wallonia region, where a lot of people speak French. So if you guys study it this way, I think it's going to stick with you for long. The visualization, the pictures, and the color shading is going to stick with you. You know, if you see a picture and you read the text, they both have different impact. So, like we just said, 59% of the people in the Flemish region, the 59% of the people of this country, they probably live in this Flemish region, and the language that they speak is Dutch. We just covered it. 40%, guys, your time to tell me, Wallonia region, and they speak French. Now, can you see this right here? We saw this bordering Germany. So imagine what the people might be speaking. The rest of the Belgian people living here are speaking German language, because we just saw in the map right here. Can you see this area bordering Germany? So yes, this is the area where 1% of the population puts up and they speak German language. I hope you guys are pretty much clear about this thing. So what is the issue all about? What is the problem? The problem is, if we have Dutch people, if we have French people, if we have German people living here, they should, live peacefully, have drinks, have good time. It's a very beautiful country in Europe, good weather, good climatic conditions. The mountains up there are so cool. you must visit it. I must tell you, it's a place that you guys really need to go. So the main issue is, guys, in this, I've again segregated. There's a federal state. Now, Belgium has become a federal state. When I say state, please do not confuse it with all the 29 states that we have in India. Here, state means a country. So when I say Belgium has put up the concept or decided to be a federal state like India is, that means it has decided not to follow the unitary system where we have the power, centralized power is there. One person is holding, or the central unit is holding the power. But when I say federal, that means the power is divided into two or more levels. And there is equitable power sharing. That means you respect the other person, the other community is of course going to respect you. So moving on, can I say that this capital region is the area of concern? Right here you saw the Brussels, it's a capital region. So what's the issue here? The basic issue in this Brussels, the capital region, is that here we have French population that is 80% and the Dutch population that is 20%. Now this becomes the area of conflict. Here is where the problem comes into picture. Why the problem comes into picture is because in the rest of Belgium, we have the majority population that is Dutch. But in the capital area, like you guys are telling, in the capital area, it's the French that occupy it, that have 80% of the population, and Dutch have 20% of the population with them. So French in rest of Belgium being in minority, they are very powerful, they are rich, and the Dutch people feel that we're not getting the fruits of benefit or progress, or the country is doing really well and we are very slow when it comes to the sharing of benefit. So therefore, this country, there was there was a lot of tension, there was a lot of clash in these countries, especially between these two communities, the French and the Dutch people, and that went all the way from 1950s and 1960s, especially in the capital region. There was like big turmoil and hard. They were facing a very tough time in the capital region. So what solution did they come up with? Did they, settle down peacefully? Did they take it to their case that, okay, we are very rich, we are very powerful, and we're going to hold the power? Or did they decide to come up with a setup where they're going to split the power, they're going to share the power, they're going to have ministers from both the communities, and then they're going to take up a decision? So to know that, we're going to stay tuned and we're going to come up with the next video. Till then, please take care and respect your parents. Thank you, guys.